morning. We in the building. we,
Top
we,
of the morning.
we in the building. We can hear each other. That's why we were a few
Mm-hmm.
minutes late. You know, we wanted to we wanted to make sure that we were audible, and
Mm-hmm.
we're pretty sure we're audible at this present moment. So welcome, Hayward CPA live, the live stream sponsored by Hayward CPA PLLC. We back, man. Another week. We don't know how to act because we not running around trying to make the volume work and stuff. So it's kind of different. You know what I'm saying? We like, yo, we got an extra 15 minutes.
True.
we don't
True. We
start.
had plenty of time.
Yeah, we got
Plenty of
plenty of
time.
time to talk and all that. But listen, if you never joined us before, this is the live stream about how to run your business coming from a different point of view. Let's call it that. Um, with discussions around what goes wrong, what works, what goes wrong, things like that. We try to
Encounter.
answer questions all the time. So if you have questions, and I'll get it up on the screen a little bit later, but you have any questions, you can hit us in the chat right now, or you can email us hello at Hayward CPA, and we will answer it on air. But if you put it in the chat now, we'll answer it during this session here. This is what we call office hours session. I think that's what we'll start calling this is office hours, aka when we ain't really had nothing planned. so, I mean, but we have some guests coming up in the following weeks, and especially leading the next year.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have more guests. So we're here today, but once again, in the chat, don't forget, check us out. We are on YouTube, Facebook. We're also on Twitter now. We're everywhere. Send us messages, DMs, whatever. This is about how to run your business and ultimately reach your goals, keep more money in your pocket, whatever you want to call it. That's what this is about. But we touch the personal too, because all the businesses have owners who have individual stuff. So if you have individual stuff going on, or you thinking of starting a business, that's what this guy is here for. See if I point this way. No, which way I gotta point? I don't know if that's universal. Yeah, that guy.
There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah. So, um, if you
So
think of starting a business,
starting or in business already, and
yeah, you're in business, you're starting a business, you're
growing
afraid
a
of the business.
business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're an entrepreneur. You want to, but you're a little scared. Why the hell's your chinny chin chin? I mean, you're gonna be scared anyway. So what difference does it make? Anyhow, man. So what's up? That's enough. That's the lead in from me. Um, what you got to tell the people?
Good morning. It's
Just that,
Saturday.
huh?
It's a nice Saturday. Sun is out. Weather's decent. We're in fall. Summer's over. October, after the extension deadline. So we have, how many days left before the end of the year? So what do we do now?
I don't know.
Type of planning and execution need to be in place. You know, that's kind of what's up. Is really where I'm hanging out at mentally um, for the next few months, the next several weeks before 2023 gets here. Besides, holiday stuff happening, we'll enjoy a little bit here, but
Yeah,
um, you know,
doing your thing. So I'm saying, of course, that's the questions. What's going on?
I got some questions for you. I'm
Oh,
just trying to, I'm gonna just ease into it.
no, we should ease into it. Because we do have some questions. We did receive some questions
mm-hmm.
prior, that we're going to explore today, and I'm gonna leave this thing, um, the ticker down here. Send us your questions in the chat or email us you know, like that. But I gotta hide our names. This is a little,
Oh yeah, I mean, well, they should know. Well, I mean, new persons don't
yeah,
know
yeah, 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 yeah. We don't need all that. Let's say this is what it is. Okay, so now let's get to chatting. So look,
shit questions in the
it's
chat.
an interesting time of the year. Um, Pivotal for a lot of, if you're a calendar year, meaning that you consider your year ending on 12/31. This is a operationally, this is a very important time of the year because this is time to make change, get ready for the new year, how to plan, budget, um, just
Operational plan, the
yeah,
do's and don'ts.
make change,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
make
yeah, yeah. You
changes.
gotta. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is the time. This is the time to look at it because what I've learned and colleagues and people, but just really what I've learned is that change, if you can, give yourself about a quarter, about 3 months for change. Because change is this, I mean, we always like, yeah, we're gonna make it happen tomorrow. And those great things when you're like, oh, I have all this stuff that I'm gonna go ahead and knock out this weekend. Somehow that never happens. And you have to be realistic. And then everything, I'm thinking everything, whether it's a hobby or something, it's all a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a race. I mean, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So
Mm-hmm.
it's trying to get your calendar together. So this is a good time. This is a good planning period. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's what we have. We're
yeah.
gonna call this a planning period today. It's a planning period. Um, Review what you're doing. You kind of forecasting what you got going the rest of the year. Um, if you are on that tax planning thing, this is like your last stop to do it. But profit maximization, how do we start accelerating expenses into this year and pushing revenue into next year? Stuff like that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
things that just happen all the
But
time.
hold on. But you just touched on something. I just want to touch on that really quickly because you said, "Folk, this is the time for change of the year, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
when you need to focus on what's moving forward for next year, right? So imagine we're already at next year and you started now to focus on when you get to the fourth quarter, because you've done the work the fourth quarter of the previous year,
Mm-hmm.
you should be measuring how close you're going to be to your financial goals. But
Oh
the
yeah.
the last quarter, should be focused on not only the financial goals but the operational adjustment of the organization, so you could begin to scale and
Mm-hmm.
improve across the board for next year, right?
Yeah.
So what that does is alleviate all the last minute happenings in the fourth quarter, as you just explained.
Yeah. And plus, well, you can actually measure, like what you just pointed out. You can actually measure to say that if my assumptions were correct, did the revenue and my expenditures lead to it? I could finish forecasting these last 2 months. Um, I know what it is, so now I can make different assumptions for 23 or next year. It's 23 right now, and based on the information I have. So I have data
Mhm,
for the last year. So now I know whatever's changed in the economy, whichever's changed in the marketplace, inflation, fuel prices, um, my cost of customer fulfillment is higher or it's lower. Uh,
mhm,
we had something bad happen and we lost a significant amount of customers. All these things that happen,
mhm,
now you can put into account um, what you're doing. And I had a conversation this week, with one of my undisclosed clients, um, and something that I think is just as important for people to understand. Business owners, it's very important to understand this. Don't get caught in the revenue trap. We've talked about it here and there, but
mhm,
when planning, um, As you get more sophisticated, as your business gets more complicated and you get more sophisticated, or whatever you want to call it, you wanna plan based on what you did on a revenue side. Your revenue planning.
Mhm.
Um, my concept is to plan on what you're doing. What your revenue level is now, not what you hope to do,
Mhm.
because what you're doing is who you are now. Now,
Mhm.
so you
Which
plan on
relates to which relates to what? What part of that statement?
what's that?
The
Oh,
financial statement.
oh, the balance sheet. Yeah.
Boom.
But
Okay, go ahead.
so you
Proceed.
see, yeah, the balance sheet is who you are, and so in that thing, P&L is what you do. So this
Mhm.
what you're doing is this is what you're doing, not these great I call it millionaire math, where you take 100 people. If I get 100 people to spend $1,000 with me, I got $1 million. It's that simple. Well, okay then. Well, let's just go get a meal. Not a problem. Let's do it. So what I'm saying is, look at what your revenue is, and I personally like the budget on the revenue that I did the prior year. So I like to create a budget around that, and then obviously I'm trying to increase revenue, but because the one thing and I'm gonna say this anytime I'm asked, and you hear it, I can control my expenditures. That I can directly control.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I have control of that, so I can control that. I don't have outside forces. I mean, obviously, you have price forces, but I have control over it. Maybe I can find another
Mhm.
way to get something done. This, and that. My
Mhm.
revenue, if you understand marketing and sales cycles, um, there are not many industries that are legal where you just gonna put something out and immediately it's gonna skyrocket. There's not many. I mean, you have to work campaigns. You have to go through, and it's according to what you're in. What business you're in. Like if you open a new restaurant, it's different things for retail and manufacturing, and then service businesses, which we work a lot with service businesses. It's so if you make a move, then retail/restaurants, if you make a move today, you can't expect it to increase your revenue tomorrow
Right.
substantially.
Right.
But you outlaid the cash today. So you spent the money today. So now you in the hole. That's how much more you gotta make up to make profit. And I
Mhm.
think when money is funny, business owners tend to start looking at, I need more sales. Yeah, well, okay, yeah. But if your sales are not, if you're not getting margin on the sales, like I'm saying, if you have a negative margin on your sales and you increase your sales, you just have more negative margin.
Correct.
It doesn't matter. So if you losing a penny on every sale and you sell
Mhm.
1 million more units, that's a loss. You taking a loss every sale. You selling,
Correct.
but you losing.
Correct.
So
Correct.
this is the time of year, and I know we focus on practitioner. Our lead generation mechanism to talk about working with a practitioner, working with a coach, a consultant. But some of these things are the work of the proprietor, the owner, the president, the CEO, whatever you are. It's part of your job, people. It's part of your job. Even if it's just you, it's part of your job. You got to look at it and say, oh, uh, it may be simplistic when you start and you just know, hey, I'm making this much, but very, very little. Well, I don't want to say that, but in business, I think that's one place where you really do, you kind of create more of your luck. You, I mean, you have to do something. If you're passive, I mean, you're at the controls. If you're passive, nothing's going to change.
Mhm.
So
No,
It goes
something's going to change, but it's not going to be the change that you want to see,
well,
right?
yeah, you what you want to change is not going to
Right.
happen. Something's going to change, and if you're not proactive about it, and um, I think that's what frustrates me so much about when people get hyped up, either when they're going to get a loan or they trying to the tax return. You know, there's some external source that has them now they want to be fiscally diligent, or if they get a levy on their account or something like that. You know, now oh man, like that. And I'm like, hey, apply some of that energy just in the fourth quarter of the year. Eventually get good. Apply some energy. Go in and look. Um, I will tell you what we do get in leads. People saying, "Oh, my accountant doesn't do this. My accountant doesn't do that." And that's another conversation for another time. But at some point, you got to ask. I think. I think you got to ask.
What do you think? Yeah, because you're the driver, right? So you can't be the driver. You can't be sitting in the driver's seat and the passenger. You're expecting the passenger to drive,
Yeah.
right?
Or you
So,
at this point you expecting the GPS to drive for you. We ain't
well,
got the night rider thing yet, but I'm assuming it's coming. I mean, they say Tesla do it, but you know what I'm saying. Like it's so so when we hear that, you know, we hear a lot of that is like, oh, I need my accountant to do so on and so forth, but they don't really know. Like sometimes the question is, let me call. I need help. I mean, what we talking about is not. I don't feel comfortable. Can you help me? It's
mhm,
okay to say you need help. It's all right. Call your practitioner. Because guess what? If you get locked up, you call an attorney. You need help. Same thing. You like, yo, I'm not making any bread. Everything is crazy. On my account's not telling me what to do. Now, if you say that here, one is based on the engagement we have, but two, at a certain point, I'm gonna want a piece of the action. Because if I'm being proactive in answering these questions, then I guess we in business together. Remember, it's your business. It ain't my business, it's your business. So if you waiting for me, unless we have that relationship, but we have that relationship, we're there. But it's not about hey with CPA or nothing. The practitioners you're working with, ask them before you jump and you come in and talking about, oh, I'm looking for a good accountant. Your accountant might be spectacular,
mhm. You just haven't
but
asked.
y'all's relationship isn't where it needs to be. And this is getting real deep. You know, we don't have vulnerability on either side. You know what I'm saying? You dealing with professional. No one wants to be a vulnerable. No one wants to say,
Mhm,
I have no clue what's going on. I'm just out here.
mhm,
Or no
mhm.
one's saying that, look, I don't have time to, the way we working, this not I can't get you the answers that you need.
Right.
So happens a lot. So that's just my little thing with telling people, I got that thing of what's a good accountant. I mean, what is that? I don't know what that means. Tell me. What's good? You know. Notice I said accountant. I ain't say CPA. I said accountant. Because if you're holding yourself out as an accountant, my assumption is that you have a basic level of education and experience. So being a CPA is a different credential level thing,
Mhm,
but we all come through the same pipe. So that's what people have to understand. CPAs and accountants talk to each other. It's not like, well, I'm a CPA and mhm, this accountant. I don't know. It's accounting.
right.
I passed the test. I went through the grueling process of passing the test, which affords me certain
Mhm,
things, and they didn't. And they may not do continuing education anymore. So, you get exposed to a lot more stuff. But when it comes to what many small businesses have going on and where we are, I mean, yeah, I mean, we talk shop, what I'm saying? License, unlicensed, whatever you want to call it. So, um, I know this is kind of active. I'm telling people that, well, people say I need
Nah,
to.
nah, flow with it. Flow. They need, but this is we creating the understanding behind this, right? Because that's what
Yeah,
this
this is what this
open.
platform is about.
Yeah,
This
yeah, yeah,
platform.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But this belief that if you get a certified accountant, it's superior to somebody else, and if the certified accountant doesn't do something that's inferior, this belief it's about a relationship. It's about a relationship between you and your finances and your business, your practitioner and you and your practitioner in the business. It's a love triangle. And if the relationship is to come in once a year to get your taxes done, guess what? They ain't thinking about your business the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to tell you that. Sorry. Breaking news. We need to put it out there. If I see you once a year, well, I'm not, and
Right.
and our business is once a year, especially if I have people that my business is different. I work with them on a higher level thing, a higher level of service. So it's a little more in the consciousness. Like, for instance, if we, things that come across our desk all the time. And that's something I think viewers should be aware of. Um, Opportunities, ways to save money, grants, loans, availability for people. They come across our desk. You know why? Because people look for us as feeders. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if there's someone that we don't have that type of relationship with, it's not like, I mean, we put it in our newsletter or something because we got the value add, but I don't have as much knowledge of your situation. So when something comes up, you know,
How do you
I'm not
place it?
necessarily going to call you, say, look, this came so and so.
Right.
Hey, move on this right here.
Right.
It's not, it's just because that's not our relationship.
So
It's an
it's out of
acquaintance.
sight, out of mind. So out of sight, out of mind. Let's put it
Yeah, I
like
see you at school.
real.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see you on the weekends. I see you at work. I don't see you on the weekends. I ain't think
Right.
about you on the weekends.
Right.
So what I see is just it's a lot of that where and then people get and they get frustrated. So then what happens? The breaking point is when there's a clerical error, data entry, form was forgotten, something like that. Then we jump back. CPA is terrible, or the account is terrible. Mm, I mean, you know, I
But then
get
we
it.
missing two, but then we missing two components, right? And so what I find and run across and where I work with most folks on is two areas of the plan and how you're accounting for the activities of what's happening in the business. And so when you don't have those two things, what's written is it's not written down, it doesn't
Doesn't
exist, right?
exist.
So
Yeah.
if you don't have those things, how can you be able to dissect certain questions and figure out and fill what those gaps are in with a financial professional CPA accountant?
Yeah. Well, that's uh, you. I mean, it's part of the job. You know, it has to evolve. As you start. Look, when all of us start businesses, for the majority of us, we trying to grab straws. You're doing everything. But after you get a certain number of years in, or whatever the number is that most businesses fail in this period, then which is interesting because they always say so and so percent of businesses fail within the first 3 years or something like that. But they don't ever talk about the other percent that made it and what happens 5 years,
Correct,
7, 9 years.
correct, correct.
So I mean, it's almost this thing like, oh well, you made it 3 years or you're home free. That's not true. And so if you made it that far, you have to continue to get better. And it's not necessarily in your vocation. You have to continue to improve your organization and improve your leadership style. Even if you're leading yourself, and that's what too many people get wrapped up in. Well, it's just me. Yeah, but not really. Because there's you, the owner, and you, the employee. Two different people. I know. You're like, what is this guy talking about? But you have to have two different mentalities when you're
Hmm.
doing it. We'll save that for a completely different set. Being your own boss. Because, I was my own boss. My boss really sucked. I ain't like him. So I was like, yeah, this guy's terrible. I can't work for him like that. So, but you have to continue to grow. So this head in the sand, I just feel there's too many times we get people coming in and it's just like, I don't know anything about my finances. Okay. And I'm sitting there like, okay, because we do business to make money, to take care of ourselves and our family. So how can you just
Yeah.
not know?
Well,
And
that's the switch. It's the mental switch, right? And so, you got it's I think it's now that you highlight it, you got to go from the employee mindset to a business owner mindset. But then you
Mhm,
just added on something, right? Like you said, we'll highlight in another episode. There's something that I highlight in the camp, right?
mhm.
Um, but it's being the boss and being the employee, two in one, because you start to discover more about yourself based off of what you have to deliver and the capacity you need in order to deliver. And that's where I think most people bump up against. So when they say, I don't know anything about my finances, well, those finances went from plus to minus equal to a calculus
Mhm.
scenario. And I failed calculus in school and I don't want to do calculus. So here, do it for me.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you're not being proactive to help me, so on and so forth, right? And so those stages, you go through the employee to business owner, and then from business owner back to, is it the back to employee? Or understanding that there's a two persons, two
Yeah,
in one?
well, I would say that if you scale,
Mm-hmm.
your job changes. You know what I'm saying? You get like a different job. Because when you're doing everything,
Yeah.
it's you. Then you
You're
gotta have
still an
that.
employee.
Then
Yeah.
if you bring one person on or two people on, as you bring people on, theoretically, you're supposed to free yourself up. So you get a
Theoretically.
different job. You get promoted in essence. Yeah. So, and it's different because now you have to learn delegation. You
Mm-hmm.
have to learn to trust people
Mm-hmm.
and you have to learn what do I do because I'm no longer doing. So it's easy for us to say from the EMIP school, um, work on instead of in. But if you don't know
Right.
how to work on the business or what that looks like day in and day out, it can be very stressful. But part of it, from where we get back where we are, part of it when you're working on is the finances. It's not separate. It's
Yeah.
not something that's, out here. We'll get back to that later. You can't do it when you got money, like supposedly when you have money. No, if you're in business, I don't care if you have a CFO. There's no way in the world, and I don't know if anyone's out here has ever sat on an earnings call for a publicly traded company. They're free. I mean, you got to really be finance geeked out to just do it, but or own stocks in the company. But the CEO has to tell a story that's based on those numbers. So you might have sometimes CFOs do the call or whatever, but at the end of the day, the CEO, which many of us like to call ourselves, has to be able to tell the story of what's happening because the financial statements are released to the street. And the analysts have the financial statements, and all of them can read financial statements. Well, this
Mhm.
happened. Why did this happen, CEO? So how can you be detached from it? Now you don't
Right.
have that scrutiny, obviously in a private company, but I argue sometimes you do. It could be your spouse,
What,
it could be your
what,
kids, it could be
what
your
platform?
family.
What platforms? I mean, we want to give some people some educational resources, but what platforms would you recommend to go and start to look at um, financial statements? What should they Google?
Oh, they could go in Yahoo Finance, Market Watch, and those places. And most large companies like Apple, you go to Apple and they have an investor relations section somewhere buried somewhere in one of their websites.
Bottom, they're usually at the bottom.
Yeah, but you can look because the companies are public, so the financial statements are public. You can you can just Google, just take a company that you're familiar with or a store that you go
Yeah,
to.
Amazon, Walmart,
Amazon, yeah,
right? Yeah,
Target,
Best
and there's
Buy,
more,
Target.
yeah, and look at this stuff,
Yeah.
and I haven't worked with public companies, but I know it's the 10Q and the 10K, and these things have to be issued to the street, which is part of the deal with the
Mhm,
SEC. But they're
mhm.
reporting to somebody, and they're reporting these numbers, and haven't been on the inside of generating the data for these reportings. I mean, that's a whole nother nightmare there, but so that's that's when you work 70 something hours a week for 2 weeks, and then the book doesn't even close, and it's all then the month close and the quarter close, and it's just ridiculous. But big
Mm,
shouts to everybody
mm.
that's in private accounting. God bless you. But and the funny thing is that the technology never works. It's like it never like ever works. I mean, I'm sure it's companies now. My experience, technology never works. So bring in some more consultants. Anyway,
It's
I
the
ain't gonna
flow.
get into
It's the flow. It's the flow forward.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
it's
yeah,
flowing. It's not flowing forward.
yeah. But in the private entities like we have, because we don't have that external accountability, it gets lost. So hey, let's add a third layer to it. You're the owner, you're the employee, and you're the investor. Because even if you put a dime in, you invested your time. You taking if we just look at opportunity cost, you could have been doing something else. So you invested your time.
Hmm. Hmm.
So do you not want to know how your investment is doing? And not just from your gut. Because I got my gut accounting thing. We know gut accounting. You know in your gut if you making money, you're not, whatever. But
Hmm.
when you do gut accounting, it's too much aligned to emotions.
Stress.
It's all caught up in emotions. You have to look at the accountability factors and say, "Damn," because some of the, I mean, I've seen businesses they're making tons of money, but they're losing because what I mentioned earlier. Every sale they taking an L.
Hmm.
Until we get in there, we go look at it, and I'm like, yeah. So yeah, you're doing a lot of this, but you're losing money every time. So why are we losing money? No, I don't know. It's a discussion, but what I'm saying is you don't necessarily have to be a finance professional to ask that question with your own business.
Right.
It's not out here that you just, well, why am I losing money? Full stop. Well,
So if they ask these questions, and they get direction and action steps that they should take, and they don't, what do you call that?
playing to lose.
And how often do you see? And how often is that something that we run across?
Quite often. I think all professions run into that. People, because it's a fear. Because look, off and on times where you pull up your P&L, your income statement. I have, and it's red. I'm burning cash. Whoa, I gotta take a minute, go sit down in the corner for a while, man. Like, yo, because in small businesses, because our books are like pretty much cash basis, so it's reflecting the ins and outs. We're not
The
gonna get technical
actuality.
with it,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
it's aligned to that. So when you look at the cash basis financial statement, I mean, it says failure. You see red, you think I'm failing. Point blank. That's just what happens. You're like,
right,
I'm no
right,
good at this. I'm done. I'm finished. I don't know what's going on. Now,
right.
in accrual basis, where it's done a little different, first of all, a lot of times you don't have as big of a loss, but you have a loss that's telling you something else. These huge companies lose money all the time. Like half of them go in the whole intent. They like lose their business model. Never has, like, especially with tech and some of this stuff, all these hot industries, like their business model is not to make money. It's just to
Mhm.
get enough heat for people to cash out. Bigger entity gets it. So the founders and the venture capitalists cash out. They can care less if it makes money. But those of
Correct.
us, we don't have that kind of bread down here. So we start panicking. We taking an L. Man, maybe you need to close down, and shut it, give it up. And so it's all that in there. So that's why people don't want to look at it, but you got to know the truth. So, like myself, and I say this, folks, that's why, remember, 98% of the things I talk about, I've experienced. I'm not telling you from like, in
Reading a
clinical
book. It's not
research.
theory. It's not. Yeah, it's
No,
not
no,
theory.
it ain't no. The research was on me. So you sit
Yeah,
there and look, and you like, yo, like, man, I'm losing.
it still is. It
Yeah,
still
yeah,
is
well, it doesn't
on
end.
us, right?
But what I'm
Yeah.
saying, so that mental part, and I remember the time when I had to do it. I took the L, and I was like, I'm taking an L. And the time, which kind of led me into actually going ahead and getting the CPA license, all that. I was like, yo, let me look and see why I'm taking this L. Now I had enough experience and training working under my pops. I knew how to navigate and understand. I understood financial statements on a very basic level. Very basic. But I knew how to do them. I know how to
Mm-hmm.
do that. But then as I started looking at it and understanding, and it made me understand business more. And then as I started going down the path and working and seeing all these different types of companies and all these different type of entrepreneurs, and you see these transactions and you see the wins, the losses, and you see it makes your point of view more sophisticated. So it starts. That's where I've come to the point where it's like, through all that experience, to say that, look, every one of these numbers has a story. So if your payroll is a certain amount, there's a story behind it because you hired these individuals. Are you
Mm-hmm.
getting the most out of them? Hey, I don't know. That's a whole nother convo. Or not even the most. Like, are they being effective in your operation
Effective.
for
Yeah.
your
Correct.
goals? That's really
Correct.
the question.
Correct.
Are they being
Correct. And
effective
then
in?
and are they
Go
being
ahead.
effective from them being the employee, but also from you being the leader and
Yeah,
setting the vision and the mission, and then the actionable things that they need to continuously improve themselves. So
yeah,
that's the two-pronged approach right there.
yeah. And that
Because
was
I
what I
hear
was
too
about
many
to
people,
say.
yeah, because I hear too many staff not doing this, and how do I train them, and how and
Yeah,
why they don't, they, because people, if they're staff, remember when you were an employee, you wanted to be led up until the point where your creative mind said, oh, I have a great idea, let me present it. But as employees, you always want to be led. As individuals, you always want to be led. So
yeah,
that's that other hat.
yeah. And that's the thing. Yeah, you hit it on the head. I mean, if they are not, you own that. It ain't on them, it's on you. And if for no other reason, you're paying them. So if you're paying them, that's part of the contract, but you don't have it, because that's what, we got employment contract, whatever it is, even if it's a part-time job. I'm paying you to do so and so. Okay. Now, when we hire, usually we coming out of the first hire, whatever, we hire help. You don't have job
Yeah.
descriptions. You don't have none of that. You like help. You hire somebody for help because it's like you're choking. I can't take it. I need help. But you usually that help, you thinking about something that you need to get done, like in the show, like right now. Like it's something right now. It's not this comprehensive thought pattern. So that's where sometimes it's inefficient when you're hiring it. So there's a story behind it. So what happens is that, okay, if I'm paying somebody and I'm not getting, I don't like phrasing like that, but we're not hitting on all cylinders. But I'm paying them, and I still have to do other things because I haven't learned how to relinquish control, or I can't do things to drive more revenue because I'm still, like they can't do it without me. So that's you have to take accountability for that, not the employee. You, that's on you.
Well, unless you come to the program and you can learn how to do those things. But go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. That's where it. But if for it's just like anything.
Yeah,
The first
yeah,
thing you have to admit that I don't know how to do that, or I need
right,
assistance doing that.
right.
That's what being a good business person, on what I've deduced, does not mean you know everything. In fact, the
Oh, but in fact, but you got to know that you don't know.
well, that's what I'm
I think
saying.
I think that's the no, but that's the I think that's you're right, and I think it's the trick is so like you said, sitting back and asking, take a moment, but then how do you ask yourself, what is it that I don't know?
Hmm. Yeah,
Because I think
so you
once
got to
that's the
explore
I think
to do that.
that's the so exploring which equals what learning, and so
Yeah.
you always learning, right? And
Hmm.
so that's but that's the thing, like that is a thing. And people, I don't think I don't think it resonates a lot with how the mind works, especially when it's under pressure. And you are wearing multiple hats. You are trying to execute, generate revenue, product, services, delivery, more clients, marketing, so on and so forth, right?
Hmm.
Networking, whatever else you got, family life, and all that other stuff. It's like, how do you even wrap your mind around asking, receiving the information? Because you may not have to ask yourself, you could receive it as you're going through these different steps. But it's like, what is it that I don't know that I actually need to work on? And then is it a priority or is it just the next thing for me to do versus what's down the line when I go through forecasting, my planning, things of that nature. I mean, I'm just throwing a lot, but
You throwing a lot on them. That's it. But it's a lot. It is something that I don't think gets presented. So if I'm
not
if I
talked
if I
about
got a
enough.
food truck, you know, my deal is on the food truck every day, making sure I get XYZ. I might make sure that I'm able to open every day and pay my living expenses. I don't have any space, time, and space to sit down and think about uh orders per hour and so on and get all you know really data analysis with it. So you need a safe space
Mhm,
for that. That's what biz therapy is about. But that's a big part of biz therapy, a safe space to even have those conversations.
mhm,
Because and going back to what we were talking about the financial statement, when I say it's like taking the L, because if you take that on face value and you present it to your stakeholders, your spouse, partner, whatever you got, your family, parents, they gonna panic.
mhm.
Hey, you losing all this money. What's going? They gonna panic. So you ain't going to talk to them because they gonna panic. They know less than you know. So yeah, and it's natural. But they panicking out of concern. But they gonna panic. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh wow, you're not doing too good. And
Because it's the stimulation that's connected to money.
yeah,
Because when you earn money as an employee, you just earn it. Yeah, you don't think about it being wasted to the bills, right?
yeah,
Like it's you get paid, you pay your bills, and then you wait for your next check.
yeah,
Well, when you're in business, you still got to pay bills, but then you also need seed capital to actually institute things for
changes.
upcoming opportunities because
Yeah,
it's not based, even though you're generating revenue, it's not based off of generating the revenue per se.
yeah.
It's a
Well, it's not
balance.
the
It's
same.
like a dance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to tighten that up is saying that look, when you get your paycheck, first of all, there's a legal contract and there's a social contract. If you work for
Hmm.
somebody, at the end of your work period, whatever, you expect to get paid. When you
Hmm.
in business, you could work for somebody and had to wait to get paid.
Correct.
I know but that doesn't make any sense. That's not fair. It does. I did the work. I should get paid. Yeah, you should, but you might not. All right. So that's how it is. And I've seen it. Everybody, they going business. Nah, that ain't gonna happen to me. Okay, it's not. No
Mhm.
problem. God willing, it won't.
Mhm.
All right. But especially once you decide you trying to grow. When you decide to grow, you that's one of the risks. So that's what I'm saying, that the financial statement, back to who you are, your AR might be big. So you've done a bunch of work, ain't collected the money yet. And I'm not saying you're not going to get it. You just haven't collected it yet. So when I look at my financial statement, given point, oh, it's red. Oh, your federal, I got these people owing me double what the loss is. And you know what? You may not get all that money, but it becomes a much more
'Cause then
subjective
mhm,
deal.
mhm,
So
mhm.
you have to work yourself out of this. I'm a failure. I need more clients. Well, you don't need no more of the clients that you got that ain't paying you. So you need to figure something else out. Like, you got to get some other clients.
Re re
Yeah.
readjust,
So
readjust.
it's a
So then
thing.
it
So, but these conversations, you have to evolve to be able to absorb that and understand. Um, and it's a place. It's not difficult. It's not hard, but you really have to get there. And if you need help, ask for help. Go to your
yeah,
accountant. Go to your lawyer if you have one. Go say, I know it's not something. If you got a bunch of employees, you're not going to do it in front of them. You sit with somebody, a trusted advisor, because that's really what the truth is. Whether they're an accountant, an MBA, a coach, or something, it's an advisor that you trust to be vulnerable with. Because if you're not vulnerable with the advisor, it's not going to work. Just as
mm,
like anything, if you go to a doctor or psychiatrist or something, and you don't tell the truth, they can't help you. And I
mhm,
mean the truth on how you feeling, what you're afraid of,
mhm,
what
mhm.
can't help you. And it's not, but in contrast, it's also not the job of your tax preparer to ask you these things.
Correct,
They doing your taxes.
correct.
That's what they're there for. That's the relationship. That's what you do. There's
They're
some overlap.
recording the past. They're recording the past, your past
Yeah, what you
behavior
did
and
already.
activity.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. So I mean, if I say anything, it's for people to go out there and ask your person, hey, I'm having a hard time keeping up with this thing financially.
Mhm,
I don't understand my business. If someone asks me certain things, I can't answer them in 30 seconds. Like even my target margin, what I do per month, what I
mhm.
do, what's my minimum, what's my break even point. Um, these are things you don't put it off on the CFO. Don't put it off anybody. If you gonna be the boss, you gonna be the boss. Boss
Head
needs to know
boss.
everything. The boss don't need to know how to do everything, but the boss needs
Right.
to know everything. So it's just, and it drives me wild. You cannot be divorced of these numbers. So good CPA, good accountant, it's very subjective. Good client. That's all. I mean,
Subjective.
you know,
Subjective.
because it's a relationship. So if you only care about getting your taxes done, you keep it moving, it's great. But when you decide you want to do something else, you can't lean on the person that's been doing that for you all these years and be like, well, why didn't you tell me this? I could say, well,
Mhm,
why didn't you ask me?
mhm,
I knew it, but that's not how we got down.
mhm,
And then some people be like, well, but this is a fact of the matter. I mean, if you want somebody to be on you like that, then get you an in-house accountant, turn it over. But you know what happens with those?
mm.
Those people, well, I ain't gonna put it on the profession, but that's when all of a sudden somebody stole something. I got an accountant for that. They stole something. Come on, man. And not saying it doesn't happen, but
Right,
you just not gonna pay attention to the person doing.
right, right,
You pay more attention to the cat detailing your car, the
right.
cat managing your break.
Right. Yeah, you can't hire a babysitter and then not go home and take care of your kid.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know why my child's doing so. I got a babysitter.
Yeah, like, what do you think I hired them for?
But
Day
see,
and
but
night. You know what I mean?
it's your child, it's your money, it's your stuff. Everything when you hire professionals, and trust me, is it's not now. There's a difference between going all Google and thinking you know exactly what folks know. But it is 100%. It's like Sims. I mean, if you from New York, Sims, man.
Back in the
Educated,
day, man.
educated. What was it? Educated customers are best consumers, something like that. The
You're
best.
correct.
If you, I want you to be educated so that we can talk. You don't need to know how to do it. I don't need you to know how to do financial statements. But even if I send it to you, I need to have you in a place where you look at it with some comprehension, even if we got to sit down. But over time, I need you to be able to get that, because when you decide you want to buy a house, or you decide you want to get a loan or something, I'm not necessarily going to be in the room with you. And I've seen a
Mhm.
lot of that. People ask for financial. I need these financial statements to go to the bank. Now, the go between them and the underwriter. The messages are just, they make no sense.
And they're
Because
not realizing, too. Well, here's the other crux. The underwriters are employees of that establishment,
yeah,
and they have processes that they follow. Doesn't mean that they are as educated, because those underwriters don't have to have
yeah,
in-depth CPA account knowledge and continuing education and constantly improving what it is that they know. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
there's
yeah,
parameters, and a lot of it now is tech based. They run it through these bots, pick up certain data. They say these data points are valid, these are invalidated. So they send this message to the customer and say we need this information, and they input it in. And so they it's a measurable thing based off of a computer, and then they try to use some managerial instinct.
yeah,
What's the story of that person type of
yeah.
deal to make a decision, right?
Hmm.
So
And
that's
so,
the other piece.
yeah, well, that's the other piece. And the point is, even when you call the IRS, people think when you call the IRS the customer service thing, they're customer service reps. A lot of
Mhm.
them don't even have any accounting training whatsoever. So
Right.
people think I told to someone at the IRS. That's why it's funny when they think the IRS person they spoke to is always correct. And I'm like,
Right.
no, it's like you could go work for them. They train you. They're like that. Even some of the revenue officers, they don't know that they're not as versed as
Correct.
practitioners, because they're closing cases. But anyway, that's something else. Another news flash. So when you're talking to the bank, as Corey just said, the underwriter, whatever. So now if I have the underwriter speaking to the client, and then the client trying to tell me what the underwriter is requesting, we usually blow all that. If we deal with that, which we really don't, because we don't do comfort letters, let me speak to the underwriter. Because you too emotional, and I don't understand what you're telling me right now. I don't understand what you need. Let me speak to it. Doesn't even make sense what you're talking about. 8 out of 10 times it's like, well, we're trying to understand so on and so forth from a financial statement that we had to run and put together because you didn't care about it for the whole last 5 years. Now you want to
Mhm.
make a move. Now you care about it. You want to run. I need everything tomorrow and all that. And I mean, dare I say, we going, it's going to be a penalty for that stuff moving forward, because it it compromises the quality of the work. Trying to rush to do a year's worth of work in 3 days and 2 weeks, and you like, especially the best part is because the people knew they were going to get financing at least a month and a half, two before, and they don't even tell
They
you.
didn't tell you before you
Yeah.
made it.
Then it's like, yeah, I need so and so because I'm supposed to close tomorrow. Oh, sounds like you got a problem. So that's, I mean, so, I mean, no, but that's why I go back to the relationship. Like I mean, and then some people, you would make it happen, but still, that's not the best practice. That's not the best thing. These things are complicated, and people just take well, I got my bank statements. Your bank statements aren't your financial statements. Okay. So if you leave with nothing else, your bank statement does not equal financial statement. All right. So that's what we leave off here. And I think one of the questions we had, I think, goes into it because we were talking about um lending or something, I think. You know,
Mm-hmm.
one of our questions for the week. People want to know
Was
about,
how do you establish business credit?
yeah, yeah, that there. Yeah. I figure what the heck, I'm gonna be provocative. There really isn't anything as business credit. Yeah, I know. What?
What do
What are
you
you talking
mean?
about?
What do you mean?
All these
Huh?
companies
But wait,
do
but
whatever,
wait.
whatever. Yeah, yeah. You don't know
But
what
you
you're
gotta
talking
do
about.
this. Get my
Just
DNB number and do this and do that.
yeah. All
People
right.
saying you could build it in
You
12 to
just do
18
use your
months.
EIN, right? Go get
Yeah,
credit
for real.
lines.
Yeah, and buy a car. I could buy a car, write it off if it's over
Yeah, no doubt.
65.
You can do all that. Okay.
Like
Two
that.
things. This is our Q&A for the day. And this is my answer to it. This is we're gonna call this section of the show "It Depends" because that's every one of these things. It depends your personal thing. But let me tell you something about business credit, especially if you're a smaller entity, just get started or whatever. You got to sign for everything. Your credit is business credit. You the guarantor. Yes, they have Dun and Bradstreet, Equifax has it, and they do look at it. Certain entities now they may not report on your personal credit. Now, I think people get confused with that. They may not report on your personal credit, but you are the guarantor. And people that usually are 20% or more owners of a company have to sign as guarantors to the credit. Um, that's all the way up the ladder. That's all the way up the ladder. So I mean, if you hear these folks, they doing big time real estate deals or something, somebody signing something. Someone's a
Mm-hmm.
guarantor for something.
Mm-hmm.
So don't. When you got publicly traded corporations, that's a different ball game. I'm talking in the private arena. There are some places that won't run your personal credit. You can get some stuff without personal credit, but you gonna be a guarantor. And a lot of times with that whole I'm getting a vehicle for the business, when your business isn't dependent on a vehicle, you end up paying more. The interest rates are higher. So it's not a
Mm-hmm.
catch-all. That's one thing if you're in logistics or like limo service or something like that, makes more sense. So it's not just a thing. People, and most of all, listen, credit, which we're gonna do an episode on. I mean, when we talk to our people, as we bring some of our, we'll talk about credit and lending. You know what? I got the person to talk about this. We got to try to book them. Got a couple of people we're gonna try to book. Um, the way you look at credit for your business, you have to have a slightly different lens. So you starting the business, so a lot of times when you starting out, you got to get personal credit. And I will tell you, if you are going to get it while you're still employed. Like if you haven't quit your job yet, try to get as much credit as you can before you quit. Because while you got, verifiable income, now how you manage your credit, something else. Some people say, oh, well, don't get any credit, whatever. Well, unfortunately, most people don't have any money when they start businesses. They just out here in these streets. They got a good idea. Got to find some bread. Then they quit their job, still living on the lifestyle as when they had the job. So burn up whatever they had savings. Because the business, I mean, there are exceptions, but most businesses are not. You're not going to quit your job today and be making what you made at your job tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry. I
Mm-hmm.
guess I'm not in the holiday
Yeah.
mood.
Nah,
I'm
no. Well,
just
listen,
saying.
this is where we come. And it's not about holidays. This is real talk, like real experiences, real conversations, real things that are happening. And we got. I think it's important for us to highlight these certain things, because this is what people go through. And like you say, the vulnerability is not really there, right? Or the acceptance of being vulnerable is it's a hard pill to swallow. So, but where do people go to have to even listen or have these conversations because it's real. Like it is a real thing. I mean, and there's a lot that we can't put into words because it's a feeling. There's a lot of it that is feeling based, but you can tie in some of the conversation and touch points that we're talking about and presenting to how you're feeling even today because today's Saturday. So most people, they're off, they go to work later, or they just getting off of work and they going home and enjoy the rest of the evening or the rest of the day, right? Or
Yeah.
prepare. Today will be a preparation for next week. But as a business owner, you sitting here because you may not be addressing clients because it's not Monday through Friday type of deal, if that's what you're working with.
Yeah.
But now you're thinking about what happened, what has happened, what I need to take care of now, and are you still in your planning phase? You're never not planning.
Oh
You're
yeah,
always
that's for
planning. You're
sure.
always ready,
That's what people always
right?
tell me. It's the weekend. You know, I love that. They'll say, "Well, it's the weekend." I say, "Listen, if the day ends in day, I'm working. I may not
Hmm.
be physically working, but I'm working up here. Ends in day
Hmm.
because it's a and I admittedly I got to get better. There's certain things that I want to have done going into the week and trying to manage my time to have it because we do have a team to have them straight for the week. So it's
Correct.
one of those things where you like I gotta have myself straight to make sure the rest of the team is straight and do that and doing a better job of that. Um is a challenge. So, but
Correct.
where do you, as I say, I'm up here on the net. I'm right here admitting failure. I don't do a great job of that. I'm saying it right there like that. Yep. Gotta
Yeah,
get better.
but see, failure is not. But it's not failure. Is not a. It's not a negative thing in
Mm-mm.
what you're talking about. It's because it's the challenges and the failures that shape your purview, your behavior, and your habits.
Yeah.
And you actually need to learn something a little bit more about what it is that you failed at. So it's not failure in terms of now you fail if you don't try. Boom. But if you try and you fail, doesn't mean that you just walk away from it. You go back and you dissect it and say, what did I miss? What do I need to prove on? Is this a function I need to put in place and learn?
Mhm.
Or do I need to put somebody else in that seat? So because me doing this is taken away from the big picture over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. So and no, I agree. What I'm saying is that I'm sitting up here. We talked about people not wanting to admit failure to either to their trusted advisor or whatever. I'm on the internet saying, yeah, you know, guess what? I'm gonna go to sleep. I have no problem saying it. Like it's
Hmm.
saying that
Hmm.
because I say it because I want to win.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I
I'm
get
I'm
you. I
saying
get
it
you.
based
Look.
on I'm saying it based on, and then there's things that not at this point is not just me, but internally the culture, the organization, that things that we want to work a certain way. And if I haven't done
Mhm.
something to facilitate that, I'm like, I'm not getting it done. But
Right.
what I'm showing is that I said, I mean, it is what it
You're showing the
is.
vulnerability. Showing
Yeah,
the
it's
vulnerability.
vulnerability,
Yeah.
but it's I know because of where I want to be, where I want the organization
Hmm.
to be, where I want the team to be. So,
Hmm.
and the thing is, if you're leading something and you can't admit when you don't get something done and you wrong, guess who else is not going to do it?
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So it's a thing where you have to be like, business is a full contact sport. Small business is an extra full contact sport because you have less padding. You ain't got no cash to make that many mistakes. So
You woke up sore this morning, like, oh,
yeah, you just
I
you
gotta
hurt
get
every
off.
day. Like big business, see big businesses, they or well funded and venture capital business,
Yeah,
they I mean
yeah, yeah.
they're free to
They still
explore the
sleeping
mind.
right now.
Yeah, they're good. Oh, so and
Oh yeah,
so.
we had $100 million loss. We're gonna
Yeah,
write
we're
that off
good.
in
We good.
contribute
We
to
got
this.
more
We just
cash.
adjust. Yeah.
Yeah, we had $100 million loss, but we got 50 million in the bank. Doesn't matter. We good. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. You know, I got $200 in the bank and I got to pay my mortgage. Two different experiences completely.
Straight up, bro.
Not to mention payroll coming through. I got that different ball game, different skill set, different
Mm-hmm.
pressures,
Mm-hmm.
different help. You get
Mm-hmm.
different advisors. So
Mm-hmm.
as we have down here, biz therapy. That's why we created biz therapy, because of these shared experiences and saying that it's easy for us to go slap you. Oh, we'll be your fractional CFO or something like that. But if what the fractional CFO doesn't really touch what you really need, then what are we doing? You know,
Right. Right.
it's like you you know some people. I mean, and it's a program, but I have seen it. I have provided this. Sometimes it's being able to talk with somebody that understands business, learns to understand you, and for you to actually sit there and say, "Hey, um, this is whatever," to be vulnerable with. Because you get, so you can't be vulnerable with everybody. I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
off the charts, so it's whatever, you know. But that's also part of my confidence. I'm like, I'm just like, yeah, we're gonna do this better. But years ago, I would have never said, "Oh no, no, I just be home,"
True.
and it's,
True.
and so I think it's important as a cooperative to understand that there's help out there. You get help. And because I think people need it in this time of year. Because what are we doing? You probably have already, well, someone in your household may have already started Christmas shopping, because they're telling you to start Christmas shopping early because of supply chain, whatever. So you've already done this. You like under pressure. We call it Newport moments. That's when you do a party. And outside, you smoke a Newport. Ain't nobody showed up. It's
It's
11:30.
like
You like, ain't nobody here.
20 below and 20
Yeah.
below.
Yeah, you under pressure. You're like, oh, I don't had all this promotion, all that. Doors open at 10, free to 12. It's 11:30. No one
Yeah.
is here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Got to come up with that second half for the club. Yo, Newport
Mm.
moment. The Newport moment is long drawn out. If you got something, and then you got stuff people. And don't get it twisted. Just because you might have a contract with a big company or with the government,
Oh yeah.
that's even worse,
Yeah.
because you are subject to their pay stuff. You work with the
So we
federal
gotta hurry
government,
up and wait. Hurry
they
up and
shut
wait.
down.
Hurry up and wait.
Yeah, you short. If there's a government
Well, see,
shutdown,
and mm-hmm.
you short. They
Mm-hmm.
hey, ain't nothing working. You not essential unless you essential. You defense contract or something like that. But something you short. So
But
it's
even
not.
with that too, they still want to make sure they verify your funding so you can withstand when they finally come around to paying.
Yeah,
Can
yeah,
you?
yeah,
Can you? You know what I mean?
yeah. And that's in the early stage. I was saying even after you
Right.
contract whatever. I mean, I think the Fed. I don't know. Some of the state governments they pay. It take 45 plus days. It could be whatever, but they
Mm-hmm.
tell you when they paying. It's not like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I submitted my invoice.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, okay, yeah, this is when we gonna pay it. And what you gonna say?
Mm-hmm.
Corporations the same thing. They're like, yeah, yeah, this is what we gonna pay you. What you gonna say?
Mm-hmm.
No, I want my money now. It's not JG Wentworth, dude. You going when the state of whatever says they gonna pay, that's where they gonna send it. And if there was any hangups in there, anything, so you have a political risk.
Correct.
So I'm just
This is
saying
getting deep. This is getting deep.
it's getting real deep, but it's for the therapy. It's the biz therapy. It's open. It's a couch session here. I don't know. The couch session might have been for me. I don't know. But
Yeah, it
anyway,
probably was. I don't like it. I
anyhow,
don't like
we getting ready to step off. We gave some minutes back because we was short last week. My man was a celebrity host. He had to hop off 2 weeks ago. You were out there, celebrity host,
There you go. No,
and
just
all
being
that.
myself.
Big shout,
Just being
yo.
amongst the
You want to shout them out, the organization, what they were doing, where you were?
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have to give a shout out to the Greater Durham Black Chamber of Commerce, to my team out there in Durham that is helping to build out, core areas for business owners, the business ecosystem.
Mhm.
We hosted we hosted and participated in the Med Week uh, 2 weeks ago, and then we had a 40 under 40 awards for successful business owners that are under 40,
Mhm.
right? And and we got a chance to present these awards and to highlight not just their successes, because it's not really about the successes of people. It's all nice. It's really the journey, where they came from, what got them started, what were their challenges. But you wrap it in a story, so it's not a movie, right? But to celebrate the journey of where they came from to where they are now, right? And hopefully we'll have an opportunity to celebrate them from where they are now to where they end up along the way. And that's just continuing the relationship. But the Greater Durham Black Chamber of Commerce, check us out, gdbcc.org.
Yeah.
Check us out
If
there.
you're in the Durham
I
area.
sit on the board. I sit on the board with them as well. Great, great board members, great members. We're constantly putting on networking connectivity events. So go to our calendar on gbcc.org. Sign up for the organization if you need help with some resources. You want to be a part of the the community. Again, sign up, see what the membership opportunities and levels are, and come on and join. If you got
All
any
right.
questions, you can reach out.
I just made a
Okay.
note. I mean, we need to get the El Presidente on
Oh,
here.
yeah, we can get CJ on.
Yeah, we need to get the
Yeah,
El Presidente on here. I'm saying, man, we're gonna be doing a lot of interviewing, man. It's gonna be,
yes, sir.
because so that I could save up for 6 months and then come back and say the same stuff again. I need some more
Oh,
perspective.
and stay tuned for our big event announcement coming up in 2023. We'll get back to you guys with an official date, but it's coming up in the first quarter of the year, so we can help people understand that foundational that first foundational step that needs to be taken with any particular business in regards to finances and how to track and record and forecast out what are those things you need to put in place. So
Mhm.
stay tuned for the event details. We'll get back to you very soon.
Beautiful, beautiful. Looking forward to that. So we only have a couple more shows. One of them, I
Yeah,
don't know where I'm gonna be, but yeah, we got a couple more
I'm
shows for the year.
I'll probably be here by myself while you on
Nah,
circuit.
I got one more. Nah, I'm in it. No, actually, yo, I'm. It's the flip side. I'm out, but yo, I'm here. Dip, dip.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, we
okay,
dip, die. Yeah, we good.
all right,
We
all
good.
right, cool.
We good on the. We
we
goody.
in, we in and out. We in and out.
We in
Okay.
and out. Nah, we do so. Anyway, this has been Hey with CPA Live. The live stream. We talk about running your business and all the things around it. Thank you for your time, checking in, tuning in. Shout out to everybody that was on there. I don't know what it. Some you might have made comments in the post, but they didn't come through. We always got a technical challenge one way or the other. So anyway, 2 weeks. Check with us. Send you your emails. Check the YouTube page. Go subscribe. Put the announcement on there because some of these interviews we're gonna probably put straight to YouTube. And hey, if you have more questions about the conversation, email us hello@haywardcpa. And if you are sitting alone at night wondering what you need to do, biztherapy.info. Go there, get a free consult.
Oh, I want to give one more shout out. Got to give one more shout out.
Oh, word.
Got to give one more shout out. Yeah, one more shout out.
All right. You
This
got it.
time of the year, the season of the year, we talking about tax. We've been talking about this stuff. If you have tax problems, we'll give a shout
Oh,
out to Action
boy.
Tax Relief. That's right. Go to 911actiontax.com, where actiontax.com can help you
Yeah,
resolve your tax problems. Did you
for
get in
sure.
those tax letters? Are you missing, are you missing something that you need to provide because they're coming after you with garnishments?
All
We're
right.
gonna we get that's our fellow
Yeah. who was out of
Collective
control
Party.
last week.
Yeah, Action Tax Relief. 911 actiontax.com. He handles tax
Yeah,
problems
he
directly.
can do all that. Well,
Absolutely.
cool. There it
Absolutely.
is.
Cool.
Full service. We out. Chuck up, chuck up the deuce. Till next time. Peace.
Peace.
Keep the questions coming and keep winning out there. All right. Chill.
Yeah.